Hi guys, it's Kimberly Cox. So this is the Neuro Circus. Welcome or welcome back. I am doing day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 21-day challenge from Neurodivergent Mom. And today we are talking about ADHD meltdowns. So, if you are at all familiar with some of the memes that are out there, some of the shorts and some of the videos that are out there, a lot of people talk about a big meltdown happening when a ADHD person is in hyperfocus and they are interrupted. And I will be the first one to say, I definitely am a lot more irritated when I'm in a zone and I'm trying to get something done and I'm feeling productive and then I'm interrupted. That definitely is one of those triggers that will, and I try to take a deep breath and I try to, control myself a lot of times, and a lot of times I do okay with it. I don't lash out. I might be frustrated under my breath, which granted other people cannot see, but it's a lot better than the lashing out that I could do. So I will take that for what it is and continue to work on myself. But I think there's other areas where people, I myself particularly, have meltdowns. One of my biggest triggers for meltdowns is not feeling understood, because I feel like I've lived in this world all my life and nothing ever made sense in that way. Everything was always twice as hard. It felt ridiculously difficult. I had people all my life calling me lazy and saying, well, it's not that difficult, just do it. And, it puts you in this place where it's very difficult to have any kind of self-esteem whatsoever. Because you just feel like, okay, I'm not good enough. I cannot do what a normal person does, what people in general do. And then once I got my ADHD diagnosis and I started diving into what it meant and how my brain works and why I'm having all of these problems, the scientific evidence is there and it makes so much sense. But then there's a lot of people who still want to, well, you're using that as an excuse. It's like, no, it's not an excuse. I try to accommodate myself. And there are days, I will tell you this right now, there are days when I cannot do the things that other people do. I don't have the energy. I don't have the ability to get what is in my head out of my head. It's like gridlock. Everything is like, those games where all the cars are like in different ways and you're trying to figure out how to move all of them so they can all get out of the parking lot. That is what my brain feels like a lot of times. It feels like everything's locked up in there and I am unable to communicate it, unable to figure it out on my own, unable to even, everybody says brain dump, brain dump. If you brain dump at that point, there's a lot of times when I can't even get myself to brain dump it because it feels like none of it feels like it makes sense. So then I feel like, okay, if I'm doing this, but it's not making sense, what good is it doing, right? There's the critical, the being critical of myself and whatever, which being critical of myself is what I was taught to be, one of my pet peeves is when teachers put on their pleasure to have in class, but does not work up to potential, was always my report cards from 4th grade up. Pleasure to have in class does not work up to potential. Pleasure to have in class does not work up to potential. And it made me feel like you don't understand how hard I am working. If I could work harder, I would. But I am unable to work any harder without completely making myself go insane. So, those are some things that cause that trigger meltdowns. It's my not feeling understood, my feeling like whatever I'm doing is not good enough. There is like I said, the being interrupted is just kind of an annoyance thing more than anything. But also there is, and this, I talked about it a little bit in the last video, I have never been diagnosed as autistic, but there are moments where I can find myself on the spectrum somewhere. And I think that this is one of those places where I have a lot of concrete thinking. And so if what I think is supposed to happen doesn't happen, my plans don't happen the way I want them to, changing plans, if I can have a little bit of a moment to reconfigure what that looks like. Okay, I have this idea in my head of what this is supposed to look like, and something gets thrown in there, and now everything's all over the place. Now I have to put everything back into an order so it makes sense, so I know what to expect, which is a very autistic way of thinking. The anxiety of not being in control and not knowing how something is going to go. And that is the proverbial fight back and forth between autism and ADHD, because your ADHD brain craves the novelty and the newness and spontaneity, and then autistic brains prefer things a lot of times to be planned out and, to know what's going to happen and not to have surprises and not to have things out of their control and stuff. And so when you have both sides, it can feel like you're going crazy, because on one side, oh, I love this idea that things are changing. But on the other side, it's like, okay, but I'm not prepared for that. I don't know how to act in this situation, and I don't know how to act in that situation. And it took me a long time to actually work through that, being the reason why a lot of times I was unable to really enjoy when something novel happened, because I had this plan and I knew how the plan was going to go, and it made me feel safe. And then you upset that, and then I have to figure out how to make everything make sense so that I know how I'm supposed to act and what is supposed to happen and things like that. And that makes a ton of sense, and it's also another autistic trait there. So that is another one, having things interrupted, plans changing. And like I said, if I can have a few moments, if someone says, oh, well, the plans are changing, but the plans aren't supposed to happen for another 3 hours. So I have a chance to sit down and wrap my brain around things and kind of figure out the new plan from there, I can be fine. But if plans are changing on a dime, it's hit or miss. I do a pretty good job a lot of times, especially in public, of kind of masking whatever frustration and discomfort and whatever I'm dealing with. However, everybody has a breaking point, and you're not supposed to bottle stuff up. You're not supposed to bottle stuff up. I'm going to put that out there. You're not supposed to bottle stuff up. I do that a lot because I have like 2 speeds, 0 and 1,000. And a lot of times people take my 1,000 as, being mean and angry and all of that kind of stuff. So it's trying to teach myself how to let a little bit out at a time, how to work within to calm myself, to self-soothe, and then be able to find the words to express later why I was so frustrated. So, okay, so there is my day 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, my day 5 in this challenge. I will be coming to you guys tomorrow to talk about what I wish people knew about meltdowns. As for today, if you got any insight, any help from this video, please drop me a comment, like this video. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. I promise this is going to be a fun channel. So I will talk to you guys later. Bye.